scream shattered the hum of my sewing machine. I rushed to the back of the house, to the makeshift bathroom where the walls were just rusted corrugated iron and the only lock was a large bent nail. I found the plastic dipper tipped over, water bleeding into the dirt around the stone slab. "Bunso, what happened?" I yelled, pulling the nail back and swinging the heavy door open. She was shivering, her eyes fixed on the wet stone. I just slipped, Ate," she whispered. I sighed, frustrated by the mess. I didn't know that at that moment, my little sister wasn't just slipping on a stone, she was fighting her own shadow. To her, that wet slab wasn't safe ground. It was the edge of an ocean where the monsters lived. It was the late 90s, the years when the force field Kuya built felt the thinnest. While Lola was at the market and Kuya was preparing for the barracks, Bunso was left in the yard with her only friend, a scruffy, nameless puppy. I watched from the window as she fed it. She didn't have fancy kibble. She had the wilted vegetable scraps and gray rice left over from Lola's stall. The neighborhood kids would lean over the gate, their laughter like jagged glass. "Look at the slop girl," feeding her dog trash because her parents forgot to come home. Bunso didn't scream. She just looked at them with those wide, unblinking eyes and said, "They're bringing real food when they get back. They're just delayed." "They're not delayed," a boy yelled back. "My dad said the sharks got them. They're fish food now." That night, the TV flickered with the blue, predatory light of Jaws the movie. Bunso sat on the floor, her small body vibrating with a fear she couldn't name. To her, the ocean wasn't a place of travel anymore. It was a mouth. One night, her silence broke. Lola found her in the dark, whimpering and shivering under the sheets. When the nightmare finally receded, Lola held her close. "What did you see, child?" Lola asked softly. "The sharks, Lola," Bunso whispered, her voice thick with salt. "They're in the water. They're hungry." "Is that why Mama and Papa didn't come home? Did the sharks take them?" Lola didn't explain the tragedy of the sea. She knew that for a 7-year-old, the truth is sometimes a shark itself. "Do you know what defeats a shark, Bunso?" Lola asked. "A big whale. A whale that is your friend." While I buried myself in the mechanical hum of my sewing machine, Bunso found her own way to survive the silence. One afternoon, I caught her in the attic, surrounded by my discarded fabric scraps. She had taken an old, yellowed pillowcase, the one that still smelled faintly of the parents she barely remembered, and was stuffing it with cotton and mismatched buttons. "What is that?" I asked, my voice tight with the day's fatigue. "This is Boink," she said, tying a knot to form a tail. "He's a whale, Ata. He's the only thing big enough to fight a shark." From that day on, Boink never left her side. He was a lumpy handmade protector, a white shadow in a house of grief. She would talk to him in the corners where the adults never looked, telling him the secrets she was too young to understand. We thought she was healing because she was quiet. We didn't realize she had just moved her life into the attic with a ghost made of linen. 20 years later, the Bunso is the most successful of us all. She moves through the corporate world with a sharpness that intimidates me. She wears suits that cost more than my first sewing machine, and her eyes are always on the next deadline. But yesterday, in the attic, the mask slipped. As we tallied the boxes of our past, she found a small, airtight bag hidden behind an old trunk. Inside was Boink, yellowed, missing a button eye, but still holding the shape of her childhood sanctuary. I watched her hands tremble as she touched the fabric. The corporate professional vanished, replaced by the 7-year-old girl who was afraid to take a bath. "I never said goodbye, Ate," she whispered, her voice cracking for the first time in 2 decades. "I thought if I kept Boink, the sharks would stay away. I thought if I stayed a child, they'd still find me." We stood in the dusty light of the attic, 3 adults who had spent our lives pretending we weren't broken. Kuya was the shield, I was the labor, and she was the memory. I realized then that while Kuya and I were busy growing up to survive, Bunso had stayed behind to guard the only thing we had left. The hope that we were still a family. She reached into her designer bag and pulled out a small miniature whale keychain. A modern Boink. He still listens, Ate, she said with a tearful smile. Even when the world gets loud. I looked from the old mosquito net draped in the corner to the faded whale clutched in Bunso's hand. These were the only proofs left. Scarred pieces of fabric that showed we once lived, breathed, and hid under the same roof. But what really happened to us back then? Was this Lola's plan all along? To keep our ghosts in plastic bags and mosquito nets until we were forced to break our own walls? Maybe she didn't want us to just remember. Maybe she wanted us to finally come home.